Why are you here? I asked, with a small glare in my eyes. She didn't seem fazed as she sat upright and held her hands in her own lap. She slowly moved her head to my face, but her eyes were closed. What the hell is even going on?
I'm here because Kokichi's body is going to be experiencing intense pain, as these scars are healing or even becoming permanent.
I felt my shoulders slump.
Permanent?
Like, here forever? I moved my hand to hold hers, but she didn't even move at the action. I retracted my hand, but before she suddenly gasped.
That's correct.
She groaned, holding her stomach in pain. I tried to move over to her, but all she did was stand up and move over to the corner of the room. There were still black marks on the wall from the fire outbursts I've been having. Kokichi had his coma. I slumped at the thought of his coma. He was taken from me because of the bond he and Sin have. He was hurt because of her. I shouldn't think like that. She has been very helpful at being able to figure out this situation. So, I should be grateful for her support, as well as being able to get Kokichi out of his coma because of her guidance. So, it's a good thing she's connected to him, right? Then why do I feel so jealous? I know Kokichi better than anyone, and I know he loves me as much as I love him. But then why do I feel so jealous of their soul and heart connection when me and him connect on all levels? I felt some tears come to my eyes as the jealousy came over my shoulders like a bag full of rocks, making it painful to do anything other than slouch.
These could last longer than I may have first thought.
Her voice pulled me out of my own thoughts. I looked up at her and saw she had some tears in her eyes. I felt worry come over me, making my jealous and nervous thoughts all become less apparent at this moment. Because Sin, Kokichi's soul and heart bonded to Wind Elemental, was in pain. Something about the way she said it would last longer than she had first thought didn't sit well with me. Has she had to deal with this before? How long have her and Hess been around? Maybe I could ask Hess about this, but that's for another time. What does she mean by that? Does she mean that this situation with Kokichi is different from anything she's experienced with others? Well, I get that because Hess and I bonded well together, while Sin and Kokichi had some issues with the bond to his body and soul. I still wonder about that. Kokichi is so strong with all that he has had to deal with, so why did it do this to him and not me? I felt even more confused than I felt before. How could this happen? I thought back to when me and Kokichi had first met one another, when we were young, as well as when I started at Hope's Peak with Kyoko's guidance. Did this all happen to bring us to this moment? Was all the bonding just so I would get to this point with him? Being able to have him trust me completely, even in moments where he's weak and vulnerable, only for him to be broken down into this connection that I caused? Sin was groaning and holding onto her stomach. She gasped and bit her lip. Is it really that painful? I mean, I have no room to speak, seeing as I am not the one in pain at this moment.
Shuichi?
I heard another voice call out as Cathy was in the room. I looked over at her before moving so Sin was in my arms. She seemed to relax a bit at this and calm down where she wasn't groaning and grunting in pain as much as before.
Yes?
I asked, trying to tell her to state her business. At the moment, there was something else that needed my attention, because it pertains to Kokichi, and he is always my top priority.
I see that Kokichi is in pain. And those scars?
She asked, moving into the room. I groaned and looked at her, trying to get her to put it together. But I knew she wasn't in the loop with all the things that have taken place in the past couple of hours.
I see,
she said, before taking a spot on the chair close to the door. She didn't say anything as she stayed there. This let me move my focus back to Sin, who was still currently in Kokichi's body, which means that Kokichi must be in her body, in his mind space. which explains why Hess isn't communicating with me at the moment. She doesn't seem to be able to have as good of a connection with me when she's in Kokichi's mindscape. But she has a better connection when it's me in the mindscape and her out in my body. Sin is in Kokichi's body at the moment, because his body is still trying to process the change from this bond he and Sin have from his new vampire body. Blood and the urges, I said, looking her in the eyes. She gave me a nod before my focus went back to Sin. Her hand was clutching part of my shirt as she stifled her sniffles and cries in pain. Why does this have to happen to my Kichi? Why couldn't it be me?